Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla. This is Danielle, and we're glad that you're here with us today. Our goal today is to talk about some mental health related issues and hopefully start to end the stigma surrounding them. So I thought it would be fun to talk about work-life balance because you've got a pretty busy life going on, and so maybe share with everybody like what it is that you're juggling in regards to work life and maybe the things that are going well and maybe the things that maybe need some work.
Need to tweak a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, where to start? I have two babes, two little kids, basically 4 and 5 years old. One's birthday's tomorrow. So it's been a trip the last especially 5 years trying to figure out how to navigate, in my preference, being at home with them as much as I can in the daytime while also not giving up on the schooling and training and passion that I have for being a helping professional. And I actually read a book, Lean In. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not.
Fantastic book.
Okay.
And that really changed my life for real. So I had a friend recommend that book to me, and I read it right before I delivered my first. And I was like, well, this explains it. I'm going to figure this out. I don't know how. I'm just going to figure it out. Who would have thought COVID would have hit? And that figured it out for me. So I was able to.
Yeah, no choice but to stay home. Right.
Yeah. And so I was like, I could still, keep this around and be around my kids. And I've done that. Even to the point where I've got what I want. And also it can feel very overwhelming with like the minute my eyes open, I'm on. And then the minute I start work, I'm on until the minute I have to go to bed because that's how late I'm working into the night, and then it's rinse repeat. So I've got to a point where, not got to a point. The reason that this is even, I want to say, floatable for me is a supportive spouse, and it's something they talk about in the book a lot, like just having one strong support person, that's how things can be possible. So I owe it to a support person, but I really have to figure out the dance I'm going to do with how many clients I'm going to take on, because I want to take on everyone I can for the reason that I don't want anyone to not get the referral they wanted. A lot of my referrals are word of mouth, and I know how much that means to have someone call you and say, but so-and-so said.
Yeah.
And to put them on a wait list for longer than I want is tough. So I want to be able to serve everyone, but I know ethically and literally I can't do that at the expense of me. And so I've had to have a wait list. I've had to say no, and that's where awesome Carson came in to say, when I got to the point where you connected me with Carson, I recognize I only have 2 feet and I can only walk so much, and if I had more feet I could serve more people in ways that are meaningful to me. And so hiring on and expanding at the exact time actually Carson came in was probably like one of the worst times to actually have Carson come in many ways that I'm not going to go into. And by doing that and just leaning into that, it's actually relieved a lot of the pressure because I know Carson can take on a lot more clients that help me feel good about the practice and growing it and not rejecting clients, because rejecting and putting them off is also not good for business. They're not getting the help.
Right.
And then that word of mouth actually stops because she's not available.
Right. Too long of a wait list, try someplace else, right?
Yeah.
I want to circle back just for a moment. So before we had the shutdown with COVID, did you have a brick and mortar where you went into an office? Was the majority of your clients in person?
Yeah, so I was only
So you were leaving the house, going to a physical office space, right? So then, it's not just simply seeing 4 clients, so like maybe, so an hour a piece, so let's just say 5 hours, at the office. You also had to get there and get back, and then whatever it was that you had to do there. Okay.
I can't recall exactly. I think after my first daughter was born, I was still going the brick and mortar for maybe 2 days a week, so it was about 8 hours to 9 hours total, and it was strict, so there was no wiggle room. With the working at home, I could see clients much later into the night. I was more willing, they're more willing, right? So the opportunity became larger, but so did the expense at my own leisurely time,
your well-being,
time reserve. So I am very much a person like, if there's an inch, I'll take it. And even though given the opportunity to work a lot more and be able to use those resources, I have to be careful with myself not to take that all on, because I'll do the whole marathon over and over again.
Right.
When really maybe I should just do 12 miles.
Right.
So when COVID happened, that's when I took away the brick and mortar. And
so that started the process. Okay, so then so being shut down, being forced to go all virtual started the process, but you could still do the same overworking with virtual as well. And then, so now we get to the expanding.
And almost
that helps.
easier to do it overworking with virtual.
Oh, it is.
It's like, I'll just fit you in at my lunch. I'll fit you in the morning before breakfast.
Right.
Whereas if you're going to brick and mortar, you have to drive there. And so if you're going to drive there, you might as well sit there for those times. But when there's almost like no boundary, because you can fit them anywhere, my creative mind's like, oh yeah, I'll do this, and I'll get a childcare person at this time, and I'll send them to the neighbor, and I'll do this. And it's almost such theatrics that I'm creating in my mind, like playing in my mind to make everything work, that it is like mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
So I have to put a limit. And my husband's good at being like, enough.
Right. I love boundaries. So that's one thing. What else have you tried, or what else do you try to do or do to, I guess, hold those boundaries in place? Like, no, I'm only taking on this many clients. No, I don't take a client starting at 10 p.m. Yeah. No, we don't take clients starting at 10 p.m. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do we, how are you doing that? Like, what have you found to be useful?
I have found, this is recent, that I need to get to bed earlier. Like, I just need to get to bed earlier. So, I'm no longer seeing an 8:30 start time as regularly as I was before. I'm more in tune and apt to have my last session be at 7 or 8, period. So moving up the last end time, but also pushing back the start time. So if my husband gets out at work at 3:30, I'm not starting at 3:30. Maybe I wait a second, actually see my husband and have a conversation with him.
Crazy,
at all,
yeah.
And maybe start at 4 or maybe start at 4:30 instead of everything being to the second. Because my husband describes like I run around like my hair's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe I need to put the fire out. Just walk.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sprinting a lot of my days.
Okay. What else do you do to take care of yourself?
Exercise. I think that's the biggest thing. If there's a stark difference, and my husband can be the advocate to support this, if I'm running or swimming or doing yoga versus when I'm not, you can see it portrayed in every aspect of my life. I can't speak organizationally.
Yeah.
With my mood, with my window of
tolerance.
Yeah. With my creative flow, with my patience. I mean, who isn't benefited by exercise? And then that has a behavioral effect, right? The behavioral activation on my sleep. So when I'm working out more, even though it's adding more things to my day, I'm more inclined to get more sleep. So
right. Yeah, boundaries, exercise, sleep, those are all good things. Yeah, and I think that the idea that there is a noticeable difference when you take care of yourself and when you don't. Mm-hmm. It's not just internally noticed. External forces also notice it. And so, I think sometimes we say, oh, it's selfish of me to go do my yoga class. Is it? Because if you go to your yoga class and you're more grounded, then those people who you think you're taking time away from, like your family, they'll benefit from your yoga class as well as you, right? So it's not selfish. So, to be able to flip it on its head and say, oh, I really want to go do that yoga class. Oh, but that's selfish. No, selfish would be not going, because then I don't care about other people, right? Yeah. By going to yoga, I'm going to be able to take care of myself, take care of my family, be a human being other people want to be around, right? And I know that, especially for women, is so hard. I can't take care of myself. That's very selfish. So, but I like the fact that you recognize, or that your husband is able to verbalize that he can recognize there's big differences in who you are and how you show up when you take care of yourself versus when you don't. So
I think too, with having little kids, it can be hard for any mother to figure out when to fit it in. For me, this is just my experience, but since I am a runner, like my optimal way of doing that is actually when I'm with them. So I will put them in the Bob stroller and I'll run to the park, I'll run them to school, I'll run them to a coffee shop, I'll run them to a restaurant within means. And that's like, I'm still with them, I'm fitting it in, but it's in the function of what our day was going to be like anyway. So
right.
like getting
and they
really
have fun
creative.
doing, yeah, and they have
it.
fun doing it too, right? Exactly.
So getting creative and how to do it.
Hey, thanks for sharing a little insight on how you get that work-life balance. So remember, you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye.